Start with the universal prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with the know he is also one with every other. Let us meditate for 1 minute. Welcome back. Thank you for attending today's program. Today is Sunday and we have a special program in memory of Dr. Annie Besant. As you all know, she was born in the year 1847, 1st October 1847, and this year in many parts of the world 175th anniversary has been celebrated throughout the world. So in memory of Dr. Annie Besant, the Indian section prepared a special lecture, Duty of Humanity. In this speech, I am going to present you the larger consciousness, what is life and spirit, how each and human being will be prosper in the spiritual path or proceed in the spiritual path by performing the duties which will come to each and every human being. So the speech is duty of humanity. So I am going to present a slide in which you can read, and mostly the contents of the slide is collected from very, very important book, The Laws of Higher Life. In that book, Annie Besant given 3 speeches which was subsequently converted into a book, and still the International Theosophical Society has been publishing the book, The Laws of Higher Life, and it is a very marvelous book for each and everyone to study, meditate, practice in day-to-day life, and proceed in the spiritual journey for which we are here. So I'm going to present you the slides. Duty of humanity. This year being 175th year of birth of Dr. Annie Besant. As she was born on 1st October 1847. So let us go through the slides. How a human should guide his conduct means in a daily life, how he or she will conduct his life, in order that in him the higher consciousness may manifest itself in all its power. Higher consciousness means the chetana, the consciousness, the force, according to Krishnamurti, the energy which is within higher level of us, means within us, but it is not reflected because we are so busy in our mundane world, in our day-to-day activities. We are not able to think of this higher consciousness. We are confining ourselves only some kind of religious activities. That is not enough. So how we can guide ourselves to get that higher consciousness within ourselves? We want to see the stages of preparation and to realize realize what each one of us can do now in this position that we are to prepare ourselves for that divine unfolding, for that blossoming of the bud of consciousness, which growing slowly within each of us, each individual, each human being in this earth, over the consciousness, this higher consciousness, which there, but it is a stage of birth stage, very, very miniature type of stage in which it is functioning. So we'll go to the next slide. How a man, all manifestations of the higher life are not necessarily spiritual life. The form in which consciousness is embodied and the consciousness itself. So I will read the total slide, then I will explain it. So the form in which consciousness is embodied and the consciousness itself. There are two things. One is the bodies, whether it is higher bodies like atmic body, intuitional body, higher mental body, or the lower or physical, emotional body and a mental body. This body has its own consciousness, body has its own life, body, and within that body, that divine consciousness or higher consciousness, that all-knowing consciousness is there. So there are two things working simultaneously within us. So next point is, nothing that is of the form is spiritual in its nature, whether the bodies or seat or vehicles, whatever name you can give it, but that is particularly not for the spiritual purpose, but to do certain things by which our unfoldment can be gauged, can be marked. So that is, so the life of a form, what is a life of form on every plane, belongs to the prakritic manifestation and not to the spiritual manifestation. So here this point is that life in every form, whether in the highest plane or in the lowest plane, belonging to prakritic manifestation, and not related to uh, spiritual manifestation or spiritual unfoldment or divine unfoldment, whatever name you can give. The next slide says the manifestation of the life in form may be on the astral plane or on the manasic plane, but it is no more spiritual there than it is on the physical plane. Everywhere the prakritic manifestation is purely phenomenal, and nothing that is phenomenal can be said to be spiritual. So everywhere, whatever it is very visible to us in a manifested world, whether the tree, plants, animals, human being, the whole universe visible to us, river, etc., all are the form, all are the phenomenal, all are the prakritic manifestation. So Besant in that book mentioned that it is a phenomenon. It cannot be treated as spiritual. So we have to go deeper so that we can see what is what. It matters not whether the life of form be lived on a lower or higher plane, stone, vegetables, animal, all that is phenomenal, all that is transitory. The spiritual and the eternal is not of the life of its form. What then is the spiritual? Question. It is alone the life of consciousness which recognizes unity, which sees oneself in everything and everything in the self. That is spiritual. Let us see. It matters not whether life of form be lived in the lower or higher plane. Suppose life of form in the lower plane, it is visible, stone, vegetables, animal, all that is phenomenal going on, or everything is transitory, whether it is Kashi Vishwanath or Lord Jagannath, the matter we are worshipping, celebrating, etc., etc., it is also the within the time and space, it has its limitation. But the consciousness, the chetana, or the spirit within that that form, whether Kashi Vishwanath or Lord Jagannath or the name, whatever you may give, but the consciousness within that form is not a life of form. It is the consciousness, spiritual, it is eternal. So here in the second point it says, it is alone the life of consciousness, which recognizes unity, which sees one self in everything and everything in the self. So that is pure. So next slide says, the spiritual life is the life which, looking into the infinite number of phenomena, pierces through the veil of Maya and sees the one and the eternal within each changing form. The spiritual life is the life which looks into the infinite number of forms, whether the infinite number of phenomena, whether the Mount Everest or a big building, Egypt, pyramid, whether many things are you have seen, it is within the time and space. Time will come, everything will be collapsed, destroyed. It is all Maya. But the spiritual person, spiritual life is to go through the veil of Maya, see the one and the eternal within each changing form. To know this self, to love this self, to realize this self, that and that alone is the spirituality. Even as to see this self everywhere, alone is the wisdom. All outside that is ignorance. all outside that is unspiritual. So clearly it is given to us a hint that to know this self, self in everything. To love the self, everything is, whether it is plant, animal, or man around you, life, everything, love that, that is self. To realize that self, to know the, realize the self, and that alone is the spirituality, that is the adhyatmic. Krishnamurti says that is the true religion. Even to see the self, everything alone is the wisdom. All outside that is ignorance, all outside that is unspiritual. If one believes the existence of life or the spirit, then one will search for the knowledge of the law, which shall enable the consciousness to unfold, so that it may recognize its unity with all consciousness everywhere, so that every form shall be dear, not for the sake of the form, but for the sake of the self, which is the life and the reality of the form. And beautifully how Dr. Beshand explained in this point. If one believes, she mentioned that if we believe the existence of life or the spirit, if we believe as a Theosophy members who are sincere student of Theosophy, they must believe the existence of that universal consciousness, that life, that spirit. Then what, after belief, what will happen? One will search for the knowledge of the law, which shall enable the consciousness to unfold. Because we have now at the stage of believing something, because Dr. Besant says, Dr. Blavatsky says in Secret Doctrine, Besant in innumerable books she mentioned, so we are believing. Then we will search for the law which shall enable the consciousness within us to unfold, so that it may recognize its unity. Then only we recognize that brother, that human being is not separate from me, it is myself, it is my part of myself. With all everywhere, so that every form shall be dear. So every form which is available, manifested in the world is dear, not for the sake of the form, but for the sake of the self. We like a human being, not he is close to me, not he is my son or daughter-in-law or wife or husband, but in that form, that universal consciousness, which is part of me, is there, which is the life and the reality of the form. So that is the point we should think over, ponder over, and meditate. Here giving Rusi Jagamalka taught Maitreyi, when she desired to know the higher life, not for the sake of husband is the husband of dear, but for the sake of the self is the husband dear. Not for the sake of the wife is the wife dear, but for the sake of the self is the wife dear. So also at higher level also, not for the sake of the devas, or the devas are there, but the sake of the self, devas are there. How beautifully it was explained. If you love your wife or a husband, if you love your husband, not as a husband, but the consciousness, but the Atman, which is within that, so you love him. You love your wife, you love your children, if you love your husband, you love your any form within around you, because it is all, everything self is there. All is in the self. The one is recognized everywhere. How shall we attain that? What is the law? How can we attain? That is the question. How can we attain that one that everywhere there is self, law of duty. Here comes duty for the humanity, law of duty. Let us pause for a moment to understand why the law of duty is the first truth which a man must obey if he wishes to rise to the spiritual life. A man must obey the law of duty because it's the first truth he must perform. You see, solar logos, our Surya Narayan, to whom we are worshipping every day in Bharat Samaj Puja or other pujas are there. Always he has been performing the duty given to Surya Logos, Surya Narayan by his higher beings. So here comes when we are ready to proceed, in the path or duty, to know the self around us, here we will find the obstruction. You find beings, dark faces around us, they are ready to obstruct our path. Belonging to the higher worlds, who are not spiritual, but who exercise enormous forces, who energize nature, bending matter to their work. So they are on the side of fall. They are doing a lot of work preventing the spiritualization of the humanity. So they are there to obstruct us. The mighty being, other side, white forces, the masters, Mahatmas, the Shota Rishimandal, white brotherhoods are there, having tremendous power to raise the world around us, some helping forward evolution by inspiring noble thought and higher endeavour. There are forces, Rishi Mandali, Rishis, great sages, they are always spreading good thoughts, noble thoughts to energize the humanity who are aspiring to travel in the path. Whereas others who are helping forward the law of evolution, but who do it by striving to hinder the progress of man and to bewilder him in order that man may learn to plant his foot firmly and by struggling against the wrong may become perfect in the right. There are different methods of the spiritual teacher to train us. Some are sending good thoughts, compassionate, karuna, but whereas others are testing us in a different method. So we will be more perfect. It is the force that works against evolution, that gives stability to progress and make possible the higher growth of man. The forces and the beings of the higher world who help evolution forward, who guide and inspire, lift, purify us, these are rightly the objects of reverence. And in their steps, we may safely tread, and to them we may safely pray. So there are forces who are testing us always. We should not go against him. We rather there are some disturbance, please.
नहीं म्यूट है मेरा मेरी आवाज कैसे आ रही है बंद करो क्यों मेरी आवाज
Okay, now it is okay. I am muted. Kindly mute your audio, please. That is creating disturbance. Madhamji, kindly mute your. I have muted. So next slide is, they are not to be followed, not to be obeyed, not to be meditated upon, nor appealed to. How then shall we, the wayfarer, choose his path? We are the wayfarer, we are the traveler, we are going through this obligatory journey. How can we proceed? This is the question there. And how can we face the test whereby one may be distinguished from the other? By the law of duty within him, by the divine self which points out the path of progress, by obedience to duty above all else, and by reverencing truth as greatest and worshipping it without a shadow of hovering or an idea of change. So we have to perform our duty. That is the divine self which points out the path of progress. If we perform our duty to our children, to our family, to the life around us, slowly, slowly, our progress will be there. Nobody can prevent you from progressing. So that is the duty. And in this incarnation, everyone which is around you, within your periphery, the duty you have to perform. It is due to them. So we'll see how it is to be performed. The conscience is very important. Conscience and reverence for duty, shining out in a golden example, practice in the lives of men of ancient India. Take, for example, the conduct of Yudhishthira, the righteous king, who once in a trial at the hands of Shri Krishna himself had fallen from the truth. We all know the story of Asattamahata. So that was the story, but in fact it was the trial given to Yudhishthira by Lord Shri Krishna. See him the last scene of his life. He leaves the earth when he was leaving this earth, when Indra, the king of devas, comes down, bids him mount his car and go to the highest heaven. So that was the trial. If we'll mark that scene in a different context, different pictures, you will mark how that is picturized in a different scenes. So that was the test. So we have to prepare for every time to face the test. Sorry. So we have to prepare every time to face the test. So what is the law of duty? What humanity duties? What duty a human being to perform? It varies with every stage of evolution, though the principle is ever the same, whether in this modern world or ancient world, or millions and millions ago. The principle is the same. It is progressive, as evolution is progressive. The duty of the savage is not the duty of a cultured and evolved man. Duty of a savage person, a semi-civilized person, his duty is different. Whereas a culture, philosopher, engineer, doctor, a lawyer, they have duty, separate duty. The duty of the teacher is not the duty of the king. The duty of the merchant is not the duty of the warrior. So that when we studying the law of duty, we must begin by studying our own place on the great ladder of evolution. By studying the circumstances around us that show our karma, and by studying our own powers and capacities and ascertaining our weaknesses, that is more important. What stage we are, we have to be aware of it. As a lawyer, I am doing my duty. As an engineer or doctor, we are performing our perfect duty to the humanity. As a family man, we are doing my duty. As a wife or children or respect to others, whether we are doing my duties, that is the test. The real difficulty of those who are striving to advance along the path of spirituality is often to distinguish dharma, to know what the law of duty demands. So you have to perform the law of duty which is given to us in this incarnation. As a lawyer, as a doctor, as a family man, we have to perform the true duties. That is our dharma. These are some of difficulties of the higher life, the test of evolving consciousness. It is a little difficult to perform the duty that is clear and simple. Blunder is not likely to occur there. So we have to be ready to face the duties which is given to us in this incarnation. But when the path of action is tangled, when we cannot see, how then shall we tread our doubtful through the darknesses? It is always happened to us. Brother Tim Byard, present international president, one of his articles mentioned that this dark period is not only at the higher level of spiritual path, but everyday life you will face this darkness, this disturbance, every time you will face. Some dangers which cloud the reason and vision, make it hard to distinguish the duty. Our personalities are ever present for here. The personality, this personality means the forms. It has own life. It has own consciousness. So the form consciousness is combined with our lower stages. It is always our enemy. It is always misguiding. It is always giving some kind of hints so that we will be disturbed, we will be put in difficulties. So they are ever-present foes, means enemy. That lower self which clothes itself in 100 different forms, which sometimes puts on the very mask of Dharma. This is misguided us in the name of mask of Dharma. We are committing different crimes which are against the humanity. So that we have to be aware of. That we have to watchful or with full awareness. How are we then to distinguish when the personality is controlling us, when duty directs? I will not mention the name of a particular sincere student of Theosophy. While she was going to office, she marked an accident happened in a roadside. Everybody passed away. So also her initial reaction would have been, no, there must be difficulty. But a duty directs her. She taken that injured person to hospital, treated her in spite of the work given to her in the office, but she taken the injured person to hospital, treated her, and looked after every day for a week until the injured man became perfect. So that was the duty. How shall we know when we are misled? When the very atmosphere of personality which encircles us disturbs the object beyond it by desire and passion. I know of no safer way in such trials than to retire quietly. That is the stage of evolution when we are aware of, not aware, believe in the higher consciousness, believe in the higher master, believe in the masters, Sadguru. Then this is the hints given to us. Then to retire quietly into the chamber of your own heart. Try to put personal desires aside. Forget about personal desire. Then strive to separate ourselves for a moment from the personality. Look at the question in a broader and clear light, with a prayer to our own higher self, which is our own Lord Gurudev, to guide us. Then in such light as we may win by prayer, self-analysis, meditation to choose the correct path, which appear to us to be the path of duty. That was the hints given to us whenever there is a duality, whether to perform this or to that, whether to escape from the duty, whether to escape from the responsibility. Just be a silent, go into your heart, one heart, praise your Lord, whether your Gurudev or your Ishta or whatever name you can give, and decide. How will you able to distinguish between the light and dark, between the white brothers and black? How will you know that this is divine and this is asuri? How will you discern the devas from the asura? Unless you test them by standard of duty, by the righteousness, the incarnate. Her duty is not done, her love and compassion, purity, self-sacrifice are not seen. There may be power, but there is not the spirituality which enlightens the world, sets an example to man. So, each and every man who are sincere student of theosophy or in the aspiring to travel spiritual path, they can judge the where love is, where compassion is, where purity is, where self-sacrifice is. That is the white brothers, that is the devas, that is the divine. But where there is no love, there is no compassion, there is no purity, there is no self-sacrifice, that is the work of life, dark forces. Whether in the modern world you will find innumerable instances, examples in every movement that is going on. So that is not the work of the white forces. Many are there who are doing all these kinds of work. There is no love, compassion, self-service, only selfish motive is there. So that is the work of dark forces. So we, the humanity who are aspiring to travel in the spiritual path, whether we are a sincere student of theosophy or not a student, serious student, but we are in the process of a movement, spiritual path, that we is to see. So it will enlighten us if we travel in this path. In the path of a spiritual aspiration, we must not expect to find way easy and plain. Traveling, going here and there, going Varanasi, going Bhavali, going there, don't expect easy thing. We must face the problem. We must start from the home, on the path, on going there, because we are not going as a traveler, we are tourist. We are going there as a pilgrimage to attend a satsanga. The more and more we attend satsanga by traveling as a pilgrims, our consciousness will be unfolded. So don't expect easy and plain thing. For the spiritual life is not obtained by, say, by repeated endeavor and constant failure. And the path of duty is not found by undaunted preservation, perseverance. You require constant perseverance to remain in the path. Let us but desire to know the right, and we shall surely know it, no matter by what path of anguish right is to find. In our daily life, let us practice to do the right as far as we see it, and we shall surely see more clearly as we proceed. So in everyone, for the everyone, daily life is your test. Daily life is your temple. Daily life is your to get a spiritual experience. So there is, for a member of Theosophical Society, that your temple is your home and your place is worship is your work. So face it boldly and continue your work. The test and proof of the advanced spiritual man, fit to be guide the teacher, the helper of others is in the perfection of the qualities that the aspirant is striving to produce in himself. He performs perfectly what the aspirant performs imperfectly. He incarnates the ideal which the aspirant is striving to produce, reproduce. What then are these qualities which mark the spiritual life? Imagine why Lord Krishna giving the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Arjuna not unfolded. Arjuna is there, but Krishna is a completely universal consciousness. He is the teacher. He is the helper of others. Perfection in the quality that we have to striving after. That we have can produce within ourselves. Lord Krishna, Lord Buddha, many saints are there, many teachers are there, many ideals are there. Don't make them idle and be another person not doing anything. Around us, every side we see men and women seeking for light, struggling the growth, puzzled, confused, and bewildered. To all and each one that we meet, we owe a duty. No one comes within the circle of life, but we have a duty to that person. Kindly imagine that each and every one which is coming nearer to, we have a duty to him or her. The world is not ruled by chance. No one is coming to you accidentally or by chance. No virtuous happening come into the lives of men. Duties and obligation are owed to those around us, and everyone within our circle is one to whom we owe a duty. What is the duty that we owe to each one? That is to be seen. Duty to superior, equal, and inferior as a clear debt. It is the definite payment of those debts with which we are familiar in our studies. The duty of reverence to our teacher, to our writer, to Animation, Dr. Animation, Blavatsky, etc., etc., Dr. Radhavanda. We have a duty for reverence, obeying those who are superior to us, the elder senior members who are above us, superior. The duty of being gentle, affectionate, and helpful to those around us on our own level, equal level, those who are around us. We have a duty of being gentle and affectionate. Then the duty of protection, kindness, helpfulness, and compassion to those below us, below in the spiritual journey, humanity, or maybe our children, maybe our relatives, they are below in their spiritual journey. They have not advanced as far you advance. They are inferior, but we have been given to protection, helpfulness, kindness, compassion towards them. These are the universal duties, and no aspirant should fail in the attempt at least to fulfill them. Without fulfillment of these, there is no spiritual life. You cannot escape. Even if by force you escape this in this life, they will come again in the next life. So we have to duty to perform. All above because of our birth, our families, our social surrounding, and national karma. Everything is guided by the karma of ours. There is still higher duties. The light to illumine our path. Whenever a person comes within our circle of life, let us look at it, that he lives that circle is a better man. The better for his contact with us. You will see there is a better man. When an ignorant person comes and we have knowledge, let him leave us at a better informed man. Better informed man. When a sorrowful person comes to us, let him leave us a little less sorrowful for our having shared this sorrow with him. So these are things how to illumine those who are coming to us in our path. So if we do it properly, without any selfish motive, then we can have some kind of unconscious or consciousness little be unfolded. When a helpless person comes and we are strong, let him leave us strengthened by our strength, not by humiliated our pride. When a helpless person, every day happening, this the matter is happening. When a helpless person, we give some moral strength, good advice, courage, good thought, then he will be, his consciousness will be little stronger. Everywhere let us be tender, patient, gentle, helpful with all. Do not let us in our daily path be harsh so as to confuse, bewilder, perplex others. Don't be, every day it has been happening. So be aware that you should not be confused, bewilder, perplex, so that other will be disturbed. Let the spiritual man, and as we are aspiring to become a spiritual, the source of comfort and of peace, let him be as a light in the world, so that all may walk more safely when they come within the circle of his influence. Sure, we should be more in a spiritual sense, so that one be more comfortable. Let us judge our spirituality by our effort on the world. Let us be careful that the world may grow purer, better, happier, because we are living in it. So that is the real instruction given, so that the person around us, he will be a better person, purer person, happier person, because our our work, the way we are living. What are we here for? Same to help each other, to love each other, to uplift each other. Is the spiritual man to hinder or uplift his fellow man? Question. Is he to be a savior of mankind, or one who throws back the evolution of his fellow man, from whom one goes away discouraged? Whether we are here to save the humanity or to push the humanity, those who are near to us, to the downwards. Watch how your influence affect others. That is more important point, so to say. How your influence affect others. Be careful how your words affect their life. Your tongue must be gentle. Your word must be loving. No slander, no gossip, no harshness of speech. Suspicion of unkind motive must pollute the lips that are striving to be the vehicle of spiritual life. So that is the work we have to do. The difficulty is in us, not outside of us. So for the duty of human, difficulty is within us. It is here in our own lives, our own conduct, that the spiritual evolution must be made. Help our brothers, your brothers. Do not be harsh with them. Lift them up when they fail, when they fall. And remember, if you stand today, you too may fall tomorrow. May need the helping hand of another in order that you may rise. So that is the instruction. Every scripture declared that the heart of the divine life is infinite compassion. Compassionate then must be the spiritual man. Karuna, ये है compassion. तो ये आपको होना चाहिए. Infinite compassion. Let us, in our poor measure, in our teeny cups of love, give to our fellow man one drop of that ocean of compassion in which the universe is bathed. You never can be wrong in helping your brother and in putting your own needs behind the supply of his wants. There is no other, because this is an illusion, we are thinking of that man is other man, because there is no other in this world. We are all one, each is a separate form, but one spirit, one Param Brahm, Narayana, in everything. One spirit moves and lives in all. So I will conclude with this slide. Resolve rightly, then, and no fear need enter your heart. You may blunder, you may make errors, you may fall over and over again, but speedily you will become beautiful. Go to the eternal peace. You will perform all these things, you will be blessed. Let us give devotion then to the supreme love, devotion to each and every life around you. Let us recognize our oneness in Him. So Parambrahm Narayana recognize in oneness in Him. Therefore, our oneness with each other, our universal invocation, may those who feels one with it, that is beautiful. And because we have rightly resolved that we have weaknesses and faults, that is the promise of truth itself. Speedily we shall become beautiful and go to peace. That is the last slide. Thank you for listening patiently. Peace be with you. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Thank you. I am now requesting anyone who like to speak or like to add something or any question if anyone has, kindly ask. Okay, let us observe silence for a moment. And now I request Mitalini ji to sing for the closing prayer.
असतो मा सत्तमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मां अमृतंगमय सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु ना कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
Okay, thank you for joining. So next Indian session program will be on coming Friday. Thank you.